You're listening to The Pump Fake.
And welcome into the latest edition of the Pump Fake, everybody. Jarrett Bailey with you as always, joined once again by my good friend Mike Tanier from Two Deep Zone. Good to see you, sir. How are you?
Doing well. I got to remind myself on July 10th, July 11th, July 12th to just take several days where it's just day drinking, day smoking, day whatever, because it's like you flip a switch. This week I have been podcast, radio show, getting stuff on the article here. I mean, obviously it's the middle of camp. It's the start of the preseason.
Yeah.
Like the suddenness where it's like, oh my God, my days are full of being employed, having a job.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's good
nice.
it's good to be back. And I mean, you and I have made this joke plenty of time, but it's like I don't have to like talk about which running back is which flavor of mayonnaise in the dead of June. Or no, yeah, we actually have stuff to talk about. There's games tonight. Are you going to watch Colts Raiders?
I'm going to watch Colts Raiders. I want to see, Danny Dimes versus Anthony Nickelbacks. I want to, and then the Seattle sounds like they're playing their starters later. Eagles are going to be on my local channel, so I'll be watching some Eagles in the background. I mean, there's so few storylines for the Eagles with the Bengals that it's just a matter of,
I can't wait to put a second TV in my living room so I can watch 2 preseason games at a time like a real degenerate. It's going to be a good time. It's the best. I went shopping yesterday, and I can't go into like a nerd store without getting some stuff. So I got a new there's a Terrell Davis now back there next to Joe Montana.
Oh, so, that's beautiful. Those two are great.
Yeah, pretty great. Pretty happy about it. Nice little $10 purchase from shout out to First and Goal Collectibles at the South Hills Village Mall in Pittsburgh. Great little spot there. So yeah, every time I can't not get something is what I've learned about my spending stuff for when it comes to collectible stuff.
Deduct them from your taxes because
that's a good idea.
As decorations for your podcasting, etc. So
I can't wait to tell my accountant about that come tax time next year.
You don't tell him what it was. This is for my backdrop for my podcast. I spent a couple $100 on things so that when I'm podcasting, it looks like a professional setting. Put it that way.
That's a good idea. All right. So last time you were on, we did AFC over-unders, kind of try to pencil in specific win totals for every team. We're going to do the same thing for the NFC today, everybody. So if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening as a podcast, be sure to leave a review and comment. And we'll start with the NFC North and the team that I think is going to win that division, the Green Bay Packers. It looks like they're what FanDuel has them at is like that number is 9.5 because that is the minus 110 number at 9.5. I think they're going to hit that. And I think if you want some value here, going over 10.5 will get you plus 155. That's probably where I would circle for Green Bay.
At plus 155, I see it. I've got the almanac here.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And the projections is about 8.9 wins. Maybe I could juice that up a little bit, saying, well, I'm looking at the way the Lions preseason is going, and it's training camps. There's questions, there's injuries.
The first play of their preseason being a butt fumble on a kickoff return.
Right. And then all these injury updates that you're hearing that are not good news.
Yeah.
Bears, it doesn't sound like they've really got their act together. So maybe you could take it up there. Yeah. 11 wins, I think, would be absolute max for this team, though.
Sure. I've been pretty high on Green Bay. I'm a big Jordan Love guy. The only questions that I have are what's the secondary going to look like, which is a big question. And is Matthew Golden going to be a legit number one with, this core of guys that are largely B+, B-, C+ guys? They need a real number one there was found out last year. So I do think that Love has a bit of a bounce back too. He didn't have a bad year last year by any means, but was playing on that bum ankle for most of the year after getting injured week 1. So I do think that over 10.5 plus 155, that's a little fine action there for Green Bay. We'll go to Detroit because why not?
Right.
They're not going to win 15 games again. I would bet large money on that. The number for Vegas right now looks like right around 10.5. You go over 10.5 is plus 115
for the Lions.
For the Lions, over 10.5 is plus 115.
Oh my goodness! Well, the number in the almanac is 10.7.
Oh, again, there you go.
High level almanac for the best teams. It's always conservative. So a lot of times you look and you hear that, you see around 12 or something like that. Yeah, I'm seeing 10.5 at plus 110. I'm going over 10.5 at plus 110. That seems like an overreaction line. We talked a moment ago about you get these injury updates. Well, it's not like everyone's like it's Enos Rakestraw who's injured. It's not Aiden Hutchinson. I think there's just. Is that like a Hall of Fame game bump? Like,
I don't know. I think it's a Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn bump, personally, if I had to guess. Which, like, I still think they're going to be a playoff team. I think I predicted them to go 10-7. So, like, I don't think they're going to be bad. But I could be talked into going over 10.5 at that number. But if you think they're going to win 12 games, over 11.5 is plus 190. So that there could be a little bit of value there.
Right. The whole thing in the almanac, and I wrote the chapters on these teams, is we lost sight of the team that won 15 games last year on defense was injury plagued beyond anything you can possibly name. And like that defense could be is likely to be a much better unit, even though they lost some guys. Offensive line is certainly a worry because they've been putting in new guys. Ben Johnson's departure is certainly a worry. With that, it's, they kept so much of the offensive staff. Like when I first look at it, it's like, okay, Ben Johnson, did he take the offensive line coach with him? He did not. Did he take the quarterback coach with him? He did not. That's Mark Brunell, Hank Fraley. They're still there. A lot of that infrastructure is still there. That gives me the impression. It's one thing to say the Bears will be much better with Ben Johnson. That might be true. The idea that the Lions are losing this titanic mind when everything around him in the sandwich is still there, I'm not as worried. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. And if you want to go over 12.5, it's plus 360. So if you think that they're going to fall off a little bit, but still win 13 games, which is certainly possible with all the talent that they have, that might be worth a little bit of action. I'm not going to do it, but people who believe in the Lions a lot, because you're right. They still have a ton of talent, especially defensively. Aiden Hutchinson will be back. They still have, the likes of Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Terry and Arnold. So like they're still loaded on that side of the ball. And the bigger question for me is what's the offense going to look like without Ben Johnson? What's Goff going to look like without Ben Johnson? We'll find that out in the first month. And I think that'll kind of dictate where that line ends up falling.
Right. And there becomes the question, okay, you're high on the Packers. I'm somewhat high on the Packers. The rest of this division, we might have some differences of opinion about.
Yeah. So let's talk about one of those teams because the Minnesota Vikings, they seem to be pretty polarizing when it comes to either you think they're going to be a Super Bowl team or you think like, no, I mean, it's an unknown, practically rookie quarterback. They're probably going to take a big step back. I fall into the latter. If you want to go with what Vegas has right now, it looks like right around 8.5. Over 8.5 is minus 140. So they think that they're going to finish with a winning record. But if you go under 8.5, it's plus 120 in terms of the win total. So kind of hovering around that, 500, just being a super mediocre team.
And that's what I see, like this 8 and 9 team. I got on Aaron Schatz's podcast, and we had Drew Magary on, lifelong Vikings fan, to come after me for the FTN projections, because the FTN projections are hanging around the 8-win thing. And we can argue about J.J. McCarthy. No one has seen him in over a year. No one knows. And then you come back to the defense. And I guess Brian Flores is a heck of a defensive coach. But I'll talk to people on the internet, and it's like, well, they're going to be a top 2 or 3 unit again this year, guaranteed. It's like, guaranteed? Are you sure? You really think the personnel is at that high level? Yeah. And that, Flores is a tremendous schemer, that he can maintain that level of schematic excellence, like that he's this all-time, I don't know, Buddy Ryan, Bud Carson level guy. Even those guys couldn't sustain it at that level. And that's why I say defense becomes 11th best, 12th best, and you wind up with let's say pedestrian quarterback play.
And even after, I talked to Aaron on this very show about it. After like the first 6 or 7 weeks last year, the defense fell off a little bit. They weren't a bad defense, but like when you look at the total DVOA that they had last year, a lot of that was carried in large part due to how well they played in the first half of the year. The second half of the year, it was still, a solid defense, but it wasn't, incredibly great. So I do think that it'll that unit will revert to the mean a little bit. Because yeah, you're right. Like schematically, Brian Flores is a very smart guy, but I just don't think they have the horses in terms of like elite defensive talent that'll carry them.
Yeah, who's the guy? I mean, Greenard's kind of the guy, you know.
Yeah, Jonathan Grenard,
Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel, yes.
But you're really going to point to these guys and say, well, this is it. You know, they're at this high level. You're saying, no, Flores is going to scheme them up. So we go back to, well, Flores can do this at this level. Big difference, again, between saying it's going to be second in the league or whatever, and it's going to be 10th or 11th in the league, and this team is relying on it to be better.
Yeah, and they've made some other additions, too. You know, they brought in Hargrave to put in the middle of the defense, too. Pulling up their depth chart right now just so
Allen and Hargrave, guys, I mean, they're older players.
Yes.
Both have had, like, injuries out the wazoo recently in their careers.
Sure. Let's see.
Isaiah Rodgers,
Jeff Okudah, if you're still on the Jeff Okudah train.
Yeah. My skepticism for everything I hear coming out of Minnesota was like the Jeff Okudah.
And that's the thing. Like right now, he would probably be the number 1 or 2 on the depth chart. So like that's like both of their projected starters, at least according to our lads, are both new guys and Rodgers and Okudah. And Isaiah Rodgers is a fine player. Jeff Okudah, was a top 5 pick that hasn't lived up to that. But yeah, there's a lot of questions there. And obviously coming back to McCarthy, wasn't asked to do a whole lot at Michigan. I think that this will be and I wrote about this on the Snap in my Substack. Everybody can go read 32 Quarterbacks Superlatives now, jbailey.nfl.substack.com. I said that there's going to be a lot of like Garoppolo Shanahan with JJ McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell, where whatever his floor is, it'll get raised because he's with a great head coach, a great supporting cast. But I do think that there is going to be a lot of similarities between McCarthy and O'Connell and what we saw with Garoppolo and Shanahan.
Possible. And again, we also have Addison out for the first 3 weeks.
Yes.
These are all winnable games, but it's the Vikings. Everything comes down to these late field goals. They have this sort of way of doing things. So I would not put 8.5 is a fair number.
So, I think so. I wonder what I need to get pulled up what their record in 1-score games was last year, because I feel like they played quite a bit of them.
The last 3 years, the last 4 years, they're always in this. And again, the Vikings fans, they come out of the woodwork like, yeah, that wasn't really a 1-score game because the other team came back at the end and scored a touchdown. It's like, that's a 1-score game.
That's still a 1-score game, Bob.
Everybody's 1-score game looks like that. There was an onside kick and you could have lost. That's what a 1-score game is, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then you have these. Right, and it's like we beat the Seahawks in a 1-score game. It's like this.
Yeah. So I think that I would probably lean 7-10 for the Vikings, and if you want to go under 7.5 wins, that's plus 200, and I think that's worth at least playing a little bit.
There we go.
That's pretty. There's our first Mike Tanier like face of the show, where he's like, oh, okay, you've intrigued me.
I am intrigued.
Yes. So plus 200 for under 7.5 Vikings wins. That might be worth a little bit.
Great to be hate watching on them a little,
Yeah, that's another thing too, because like people will listen to us talk about it, be like, oh, you hate this team. I don't really hate. That's a lie. I do hate some teams. I won't pretend I don't. I try to be as unbiased as I can. But certain fans of certain teams are just like, I hope you don't have nice things ever. I won't name who, but you could probably piece together who those teams are. But we talked about the Raiders over under and last show being plus 420 for over. Was it 9.5 wins? I wonder what happens if we parlay under 7.5 wins for the Vikings and over 9.5 for the Raiders. Let me look at that real quick, just for fun. Yeah, just this chaotic drug fueled fucking parlay.
Like, what are we even doing?
So if you parlay those two together, it's plus 1304.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So if you want to throw, if you want to be a real degenerate and throw 20 to win 260, why not?
I'd do it if I didn't play the 420 already.
Yeah, that's the thing. I already played the 420 by itself. I'm not going to go crazy and have to explain to my girlfriend why my gambling is a little bit higher than what it once was. But so maybe look at the Vikings under 7.5 if you're not super confident in them like I am. Let's go to the Bears. Let's see. Vegas has them the number right around 7.5. If you go under 7.5 wins, it's plus money. So if you think they're going to be a 7-win team, you can still get plus money at plus 100. Over 8.5 wins is plus 140. I'm
getting different numbers for the Bears here. I'm over in DraftKings.
Okay.
So they might be a very, very divergent right now.
Sure.
We have them at 7.9 wins. I think the projection was high at 7.9 wins in the almanac. Like that's the Ben Johnson bump. I think that's a big
Sure.
part, and I respect that to a degree. The Caleb Williams is going to make a step forward based on offensive line improvements, etc. The projection system has never heard a quote from the young man. You know, the projection system didn't read Wickersham's book. Let's put it that way.
How much do you read into that, by the way? Like, is there like trouble in paradise in Chicago? I shouldn't even say paradise. Is there trouble in Chicago? I couldn't think of a funny joke. Is there issues in Chicago?
Trouble on Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams' dad is kind of like an insane little league dad.
Yeah, he has a little bit of LeVar Ball to him.
A little LeVar Ball to him, and Caleb Williams has a little bit of that kid who's going to say yes, dad, no, dad, etc., and might not be the most self-made man, and that could be a real problem in the NFL. It's one thing for somebody like you or my kids or whatever to be like, I'm not a fully formed self-made person as I'm graduating from college and starting my entry-level job. This is quarterback of the Bears. Right. You have to be this absolute grinder who has like an incredible level of confidence and things like that. And I don't know if Caleb was really there. I get these mixed signals out of camp. I mean, for now, I think Carl Williams is assuaged. Ben Johnson is there. This has got to be, if this is a dad who sits there and gets his football information from Facebook, he's happy with Ben Johnson but I get these mixed messages about how happy Johnson is with the progression of things. How well Williams has mastered things. It's hard to gauge, their comfort level right now.
Yeah. I think that they're going to be at least interesting, which is more than we could say. I guess we could call them interesting for all the wrong reasons last year, because again, you and I have talked about this on different shows where the truth of whatever happened last year is somewhere in the middle. People reporting like, well, Caleb asked Shane Waldron to watch film with him and he told him to go fuck himself. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know if it was quite that bad, but but regardless, I think Ben Johnson should be a net positive. We'll find out soon enough. But if I had to put a number on the Bears, I think 7.5, 8 is probably right around where I would go. I wouldn't go quite like above 500 yet. So
if you're getting plus money at 7, over 7,
over 7.5 is only minus 120. But if you think they're only going to win 7 games, if you go under 7.5, it's plus 100.
That might be where I land.
Yeah,
that might be where I land, like right there, because it was 7 and 10, and ideally a situation where they get growth from Williams. But it was a growing pains year. I don't know what their pass rush looks like at this point. Great secondary.
Yeah, it's Montez Sweat and who?
Grove and Dexter and some of these other big
yes. Yeah.
who are more like interior rushers. And again, it's a great secondary, but then I have the question is, when the opponents know that this team is never going to come back in the second half because they're going to give up 15 sacks in the second half of the game while trying to throw screen passes to keep Caleb happy, the secondary isn't getting challenged by the opponent. Okay. Jaylen Johnson and the other guys aren't getting challenged that much in the second half of these games. So I don't know how good they really are.
Yeah. They're a very high variance team to me where I could see them going, 7 wins, but at the same time, I do like a lot of the players that they have where offensively, Caleb played like well last year despite the circumstances. And, we can see maybe a second-year jump from Roma Dunze. DJ Moore's still there. Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet could be a nice 1-2 punch at tight end. And defensively, Jaylen Johnson's awesome. They got some real players. Dennis Allen's the new DC. And say what you want about Dennis Allen as a head coach, defensive coordinator, pretty strong to have in the room. So I think that they could also surprise a lot of people and perhaps go, 11-6. And if you believe in that, if you want to go over 10.5, that's also plus 420. So maybe
I'm happy with the Raiders for some reason.
Yeah.
Right. Not to be ghoulish, Rashawn Slater gets hurt. And it's like, the Raiders parlay already looks better. I'm sorry. That's terrible. Too soon.
Is Rashawn, what? I haven't seen the Rashawn Slater news yet because I was writing up something for Steelers Wise. What's the injury?
Off the field, carded.
That's not good. Yes.
Like slamming his helmet down, teammates coming over to hug him. And
that sucks. Absolutely sucks.
Absolutely sucks.
Well, nothing but well wishes for him. That's dreadful. We see it every year in training camp, but it doesn't make it any easier. All right. But that wraps up the NFC North, I believe. Yes, we did touch all NFC North teams. Let's go to the NFC East where, I talked to Aaron about it. Very surprisingly, Almanac projections, the Commanders, the most wins in the NFC East. So we can start there. just because that's what the almanac seemed to really like in terms of Washington. I think that there's going to be a little bit regression to the mean for them as well, where they're not going to win all these batshit crazy one-score games, and because they had obviously the Hail Mary against Chicago, the crazy game against Philadelphia where Jaylen threw a touchdown with less than a minute left. There's a lot of cardiac kids when it came to Washington last year, which is very fun to watch, but I do think that they regress a little bit. If you want to go under 10.5 wins, that's still minus money, so it's only minus 180. If you go over 10.5 wins, though, it's plus 155. So if you think they're going to win 11 games, you can still get plus money.
And the projection system says hit it. Because there again, 10.6 wins, I believe.
Yes.
Which again is conservative, which means we're looking at like an 11 and 12 win season. So you'd want to go over that. There's regression in terms of all of that hoo-ha that you discussed, but then they make these veteran additions, multiple veteran additions across the lineup. With Debo. I say them: Debo, Laramie Tunsil, Marshawn Lattimore, who came on late last year and was hurt, and Von Miller, among others. That's pretty significant. It's like every stage along the way. Their biggest weakness was the secondary. And the cornerbacks in particular, and right off the bat, if Lattimore comes back and he's not like dragging his way back from a hamstring injury, that's one problem solved there. So there's a lot of reasons to look at this and say it was a solid team. There was a fluky element to it, but they addressed the flukiness.
Yeah, and elsewhere in that secondary, they kick Mikey Sanders still inside to play nickel, which is kind of his natural spot, and I think that'll be a net positive. He was very good last year as well as a rookie. Let me pull up their entire depth chart, though. But
Trey Amos, who
they drafted him out of Ole Miss, who could be a good player. Yep.
Jonathan Jones, who had moments. They grabbed him quietly from the Patriots. He's had moments in the past. You can do mix and match type things.
Right.
The Amos is a tall guy. It's like, well, he's going to go up against your tall vertical guys.
Yeah.
And then maybe you're sending Lattimore against your Nabers and your CD Lambs and things. Well,
right.
Actually, CD is in the slot a lot. Maybe that's time or so. You have solutions.
Sure. And obviously Frankie Louvu is an incredible linebacker who plays next to Bobby Wagner, but is also a very good pass rusher in which they kind of unleash him off the edge. They added Javon Kinlaw as well, a little bit of a run defense there in the middle. So I think overall the defense will be good, and they get the Dan Quinn bump. Tremendous defensive mind. I have had this wonder though of like, all right, what does Von Miller really have less? Look, maybe he gets a Dan Quinn bump too, and plays a little bit above his means at this age in this stage of his career. But there is a lot to like there. I still think that they should be a playoff team. Hopefully they get this Terry McLaurin thing sorted out sooner than later. Although we've been saying that for the last week or so, it'll get done, and I'm completely confident in that. But yeah, Jayden has proven himself to be very good. I'm trying to see where I land with them. I would probably go right on 10. So I don't think that there's a ton of value there for me personally, because over 10.5, I'm not going to bet, and that's plus 155. And if you go under the 10.5, it's only minus 180. So you're not getting a lot of value there.
You have them winning the division though, because that might be
good. That is true. You know what? Let's pull up some division stuff here on FanDuel. What do you have it over at DraftKings?
Let's see if I can get it very quickly here got to go to futures, which is annoying, and then
that's fine. So on FanDuel, if you bet the Commanders to win the NFC East, it is plus 220. Now that's a lot better.
Yeah, I have only plus 205, and again, I would not be betting the Commanders to win a division here in Philadelphia. I would get killed when I went doorstep. That's the play that the Almanac says you should be doing if you're a neutral fan just looking for money.
I like that a lot. Let's go to Philadelphia though, because. Yeah, I mean, when I had Aaron on, we were talking, I was very surprised that Philadelphia wasn't the team with the most projected wins. And he's gone on several shows and kind of made the same point where the Almanac wasn't super high on them last year either. So it's a little bit of, we talked about reverting to the mean a little bit. They've lost a few players defensively. Not to say that they're going to be a bad team. They're almost certainly not going to be, barring something catastrophic happening. But if you go, let's say, under 10.5 wins and still think they're going to be a 10-win team, that's plus money at plus 140. But if you go over 11.5 and say they'll go 12-5, that's plus 110. So you can still get plus money around that neighborhood.
Right. I would lean into that. This might be a 10-7 team because that's what the projection says. That factors in kind of how top heavy they are on offense and some of these other things. And what Aaron is right. It's like, it's not just that the projection system wasn't high on them last year. It's like the team you saw in week 13 and week 14 didn't look like they were going to go on this run and slaughter everybody in the playoffs. So like, this is a team that's going to go out there and be in the soup and maybe lose to the Rams or somebody like that. Because
I mean, hell, last year, like, and look, things happen. It's a week-to-week league in the NFL. Any given Sunday, all of that, sure. But almost losing to the Deshaun Watson Browns, nobody at that point was like, yeah, the Eagles are going to, win the Super Bowl.
Oh, I got early in the season against the Saints.
Yeah, like there was a lot of like, what the hell is Sirianni going to get fired?
Right, Sirianni they were like 7-2, like he's on the hot seat. and there's progression. It's like, well, this team is clearly getting better. But even as you got too late in the season, no one looking at them and saying this is a juggernaut. There's like, well, they've got Saquon, and the defense is playing better and better, and they're finding a way to get to manufacture points on offense. And that's literally what they were until the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Right. So I respect that. And I'm not sitting here saying, well, this is like a sacrilege to say they're only going to go 10-7.
Right.
Perfectly reasonable thing that could happen. Tough schedule team. But obviously I'm not playing it, but I can't advocate against it.
What were the exact projections for wins for them in the Almanac?
Almanac projections, I'll give the full for Eagles, 9.4 wins.
Okay.
7th best offense, 9th best defense, 6th best special teams, 2nd hardest schedule.
Yeah, I think that also probably has a little bit to do with it is the schedule. And like you said, the projections are conservative, so they're probably closer to that 10 wins. If you do think that they're going to be a 9-8 team for whatever reason, under 9.5 for the Eagles is plus 230. I personally wouldn't touch that, but if you're looking for a value play, that's probably one. I would probably lean more towards the over 12.5 if I'm going to play anything. Actually, now that I'm looking at the number, I probably wouldn't touch that either. It's only plus 190. That's not enough. That's not enough for me to be like, yeah, I'll throw something on it.
That's not enough for me.
Yeah.
You say, oh, we're going to go 13-4. Chisel it. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Eagles, for the non-biased fans or non-Eagles fans, probably not the best team to bet, because even when it comes to winning the division, it's not plus money there either. So it's not the greatest team to bet on if you're looking for something for Philadelphia. We can go to Dallas though, which could be a very good team to bet on. They're plus 550 to win the NFC East. You're not going to touch that.
No, not with your money, not with anybody's money.
Let's look at the wins for Dallas. It looks like 7.5 is the number for the Cowboys. Over 7.5 is only minus 125. If you want to go over 8.5, though, that's plus 135. I do think that this will be a team that gets to around 8, between 8 and 10. 9.
I can see them at 9 wins and just being like, okay, that you especially at plus 140, that's not bad. And that's the typical Cowboys argument. By sheer force of frontline talent, we're going to assume Micah Parsons gets paid $230 billion because Stephen Jones wrestles the checkbook away from dad and calls the and he comes back in, and then everybody's storming out there, like your top end people, and Pickens adding to that gets them to that win against all of the weaklings on their schedule, and then like a split with either the Commanders or the Eagles, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I would say, like, the Cowboys haven't like completely like bottomed out in a very long time. Like even in the bad years with Dak so far, they've still been like 8-8, 9-7. The only time that they've been like really bad is when Dak got hurt. So as long as Dak stays healthy, I think they're gonna win 8 games, probably more, and at least be in the wild card hunt. So I would probably go over 9.5 is plus 220. That's tempting.
That's a high. I mean, that's pretty good juice, but I'll say I look at it like the offensive talent. You look up and down at all the first round picks on the offensive line. So it's like, well, they put a heavy investment there. So most of those guys have done something. I just can't. There's the cultural issue with the team.
That's fair.
The idea that once somebody gets injured, the next man up will not be ready. There's the Schottenheimer. I can't see it. I can't see how the Schottenheimer. Well, maybe the whole thing was he was a better coach than he was a coordinator. Like that's your argument, but he never got a chance, even though his dad's a legend.
Yeah.
He never got a chance until the owner got so freaking. Never mind. The owner started to forget that he had to interview coaches, and so he brought back the guy.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the Giants, where, oh my Lord, there's just not a lot here. I don't know. It depends on what you think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be good. No. Obviously, Russ is better than anything that they had with Daniel Jones or Tommy DeVito. They, add a little bit of talent on that side of the ball, running back wise. So I think that they'll be better. So I don't know. Over 5.5 is still only plus 105. And that's not enough for me to look at that and say, yeah, absolutely. If it was like plus 200, then sure. I don't know. I think the max for this team's like 6 wins.
Toughest schedule in the NFL, according to the projections here.
Oh,
because I can make a 6-win, and they're right around 5.9. I can make a 7-win argument, and it goes with the defensive line is going to get you 50 some.
Right
Off the bat, and then Nabers gives you some plays, and then it's like, okay, Wilson runs into the ground, and then Dart or Jameis can play musical chairs for a while. But then you come up against, and I haven't looked at the schedule. If the schedule's that bad, and if they get off to a cold start, I think Dable's going to be gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would say so. And I'm trying to think of who. Probably Mike Kafka would be the interim.
I hope they would give Kafka the chance because he's in there in this screwed up situation where he's been lieutenant there and he can't really get serious head coaching offers because everything that ever happens that's bad seems to get blamed on him. But then he never loses his job, which is because it sounds like you're just keeping this guy around so you can blame him all the time when he's actually the one doing all the things. And
Pat Leonard did a really good piece talking about the dysfunction, like internal dysfunction that led to Wink leaving and whatnot, just the stuff going on with him and Dable. So yeah, it just sounded like a big mess there.
Right. And I'm looking at there's a little stretch here that goes like Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, like in October into November. And you could go 0-4 in that.
Yeah.
You go 0-4 in that, and the head coach will not survive it.
Yeah. Did I say Pat Bryant? I meant Pat Leonard.
Pat Leonard.
Yes. I was going to say, I think I said Pat Bryant. That's the Broncos receiver. Wrong Pat. But yeah, Pat Leonard did a very good piece discussing the Giants and their internal dysfunction. So yeah, if you can find 7 wins, even then there's not much juice there. It's only plus 190 for over 6.5. I'm not touching them.
No, that's not.
That's not good.
No.
Maybe some unders would be good. Yeah, it doesn't really look like it. If you think they're going to be a train wreck, if you think that they might have the number 1 overall pick, under 3.5 is plus 270. But I think that their defensive line will get them too many wins.
Yeah, three wins is too much. Like, we faced 3 backup quarterbacks.
Yeah,
something like that along the way, and then you're stuck with that. I'm trying to see if you can get on the clock. I can't get an on the clock bet yet. So, who picked first overall? I would probably be more inclined to go with the Saints on that though.
That's fair. All right, let's go now. Let's go to the NFC South. Why not? We'll start with Tampa, who seems to win this division every year. I would still at least certainly put them around that 8-9 win total, which they've hovered around for the last 3 seasons. Over 8.5 is only minus 160. Over 9.5 is plus 105. It sounds like they're really tempting you to try to go above 10, but even then, not a ton of juice. Plus 175, not awful, but not anything that makes me jump.
Right, and to win a division, only minus 110.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, maybe there's something there, but handicappers and the public are looking at that division and saying the Buccaneers. The thing that gets me nervous is the Wirfs injury.
Yes.
We just talked about Slater. Wirfs is going to be back sometime early in the season, but I look at the beginning of the schedule for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Atlanta. Well, Atlanta swept them last year, and this is a tough divisional foe, and they've got 2 new rookie edge rushers. That's a very much a potential loss. Week after that, at Houston Texans, you're going out there without your starting left tackle. The one thing the Texans can do is slaughter your quarterback. So it's like, I don't want to take a Buccaneers win total way up into the double digits very far if they could easily start out 0-2.
Yeah, and I do think that eventually losing a coordinator, the offensive coordinator every year, even if it stays, the hire stays in-house, will eventually do something. I think the Falcons are a much better team to find some juice on because to win the division for them on FanDuel is plus 210. And they came very close to doing it last year, so that's something that you could touch. On FanDuel, you get plus money if you bet the Bucs to win. It's plus 105, but it's still plus money.
Better,
so that's a little bit better on FanDuel. I will say this, though. Carolina at plus 390 to win the NFC South, that could be worth throwing like a tenner on and just saying, all right, maybe I'll get $40 in January. Bryce Young played very well in the final month of the season. Ejiro Evero is a very good defensive mind, but they need a lot of guys to step up on
Fun
defense.
fact, he did not. That is not a thing that actually happened. He had a couple of okay games. He did not play very well.
I thought he played well. Did he not? Go ahead. Tell me.
He played like an NFL quarterback. as opposed to a ball boy that ran onto the field, which is what we saw before. There's a game against the Cowboys where he just gets absolutely slaughtered. There's a game against the Buccaneers where he gets.
I'm going to pull up his game logs real quick, just so.
And he had, I think, one good one. He had this Eagles game where he had like a couple of like 3rd and 20. He jumps out away from 2 sacks and flirts the ball in the air, and Adam Thielen comes down with it. Pull up the numbers.
Yeah, here I'm getting his game logs here in front of me right now. So let's see. From that Eagles game, let's see, 19 of 34, buck 91, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Cowboys game, the one you brought up, 19 of 28, 219, touchdown, 2 picks. The last 3 games, I guess, were where he played his best. 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 3 touchdowns, no picks. So yeah, fair enough.
Isn't one of those in a beatdown though in those last 3 games?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, they lost 48-14. So that was a pretty
two
bad
touchdowns and a 48-14.
Sure.
So, if you want to do 390 with the Panthers, God bless.
That's fair.
I mean, I would like to see them do a legitimate rise up.
Yeah.
But this is one of several years in the last decade where, hey, the Panthers were kind of sort of okay at the end of the season. They had a couple wins. And then you go back and look at them, and it's like, yeah, they beat the Giants in overtime, which literally is one
They did beat the Giants in overtime,
yes. Giants in overtime in one of those games. I believe the Cardinals in overtime in one of those games when the Cardinals
yes.
were fading down the stretch. So it's one of those things where if you're doing, and you and I do this thing, we have to look at the league and the big picture. It's like, it evaporates when you get closer to it. The problem with the Panthers is they tend to believe it.
Yeah.
And,
like defensively, I mean, I pointed out Ejiro Evero is a very good defensive coordinator. There's just not a lot of juice on that side of the ball either. And receiver wise, like we'll see with Tet, seems to be having a good camp and whatnot, but every top 10 pick has a great camp every year, apparently. So I'm not going to be too like sold on that. So I don't know. I would love to see them do well. They won 2 of their last 3 and whatnot, and they're a team that's easy to root for player wise, owner wise. You could probably make the argument they're probably not.
Well, no
yeah, sure. So I don't know. The NFC South is just very weird. If you really want to be gross, the Saints to win the division are plus 1,300.
That's gross. I mean, I would do an on the clock or something with that.
Yeah.
The thing that got me is all 3 of their quarterbacks are listed number 1 on the.
They're so bad.
All 3, and I had to strain my brain to remember Jake Hayner's existence.
Yeah, he sure is. You don't remember that saucy photo shoot he did 2 years ago? Yeah, Jesus Lord.
Well, that was fun. And it's like that's kind of cool. I mean, but the fact is, we did see you on the field, and you can't play. I'm sorry, he can't play.
Yeah. If you want a good value for the Falcons, I don't want to completely bypass them. Over 8.5 wins is plus 115. I think they should reach that, but it's also the Falcons, and you have the rule: never bet on the Falcons, right?
Never bet on the Falcons. Everyone now knows never bet on the Falcons.
That's fair. If you're still going to do it though, over 9.5 is plus 190. In terms of the Carolina Panthers, let me pull up theirs real quick just so we can get the official total on them. Over 7.5 is where you'll start to get plus money. It's plus 125. So Vegas seems to think that they're going to be like a 7-win team.
You take me down to 6 or 7, and I can be a believer with the Panthers because I can see that sweep of the Saints starting things out, and then it's like you're going to like get an ankle biter against the Falcons, and or maybe the Buccaneers, and now you're on the way there. And if you go over 9.5 with the Falcons, folks, I guarantee you they will go 9-7.
They'll go 9-8. Yeah.
They'll go 9-7-1 on you. You don't know what they're capable of.
They are quite the enigma, the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints, I don't know. I think that win total, but just find the funnest under you can. Pulling it up right now. If you go under 3.5 wins, that's plus 210. That's pretty. I think they go 3-14.
Yeah, that's like hate watchable.
Yeah,
because I don't know where their wins are.
I really don't either.
I don't know what their path to victory is. You say, what's the Panthers' path to victory? It's like, well, Bryce Young does take another step forward. They've got these young receivers. Offensive line's actually kind of okay. That's their path. What is the Giants' path to victory? They can get 60 sacks in a season easily. And what's the Saints' path to victory?
A bunch of old guys on defense and no stars on offense, not named Chris Olave.
Right. Another guy might be retiring as we speak because it's like, well, they don't have the honey badger. Olave, he's a concussion case.
Yeah.
So,
who else do they? Rashid Shaheed.
The dude can run.
He's fast.
Right. He's got a little bit of
He's their Alec Pierce, I think. We're like, oh yeah, he'll give you, a deep catch a game, but outside, he's not, you're not going to make Rashid Shaheed your ex receiver.
You're dragging Alvin Kamara out there at running back again, and he kind of had a little bounce back, but he's going to have this high volume. Fantasy guys, your mileage varies whether he gets.
I feel like I don't know what his contract looks like, but maybe trade deadline candidate Alvin Kamara.
It's a Saints contract.
I'm sure it's not great.
all of his dead caps hits them automatically like a fucking 2x4 to the skull.
Oh, Mickey Loomis, what an insane human you are. All right. If you go under 2.5, so if you think there's going to be like awful, it's plus 420. I think they could go 2-15.
They could. This could be a 2-15. I'm parlay that with the Raiders.
I was going to say, let's see what that looks like. So under 2.5 for the Saints, over 9.5 for the Raiders is, good Lord, it plus 22-12.
22-12, one of my favorite Rush albums. 21-12. Do not send angry emails.
So you throw a tenner on that, you're making 220.
I'm going to look for the on the clock first team.
Yeah.
Because then it's like you can still be like, they did win 4 games, but they could still fuck this up at the end.
Right.
And it's a little more fun. I don't need plus 1,300. Don't need plus 420 on that. If you give me like plus 280, I'll probably take it.
All right, let's go to the NFC West, where the Rams are making my Tookus tight every day with the Matthew Stafford stuff. It's not great.
It's not great.
He had some sort of procedure done, right? An epidural. Is that the right word that I'm thinking of?
Maybe, because that doesn't sound right. That sounds like something when you give birth. My wife. Let me find the official report so I don't sound like a jackass. My wife got an epidural, and then there was a baby.
I'm getting it pulled up right. I'm getting the official Schefter tweet up right now to find out what officially happened. Matthew Stafford. Come on now, what are we doing? I can't just find the normal Schefter tweet. Okay, he still hasn't practiced, but the Rams do not sound concerned. Sure, they don't. And I think it was Dan Hanzus on the Heed the Call podcast who made a really good point, or it might have been Justin Graver. But anytime you start to hear like the team gassing up the backup quarterback, they're worried about the starter. And everybody's like, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo looks great. That's how you know, okay, something's wrong with Stafford.
Garoppolo was always part of a plan that we had, and we always saw.
Right.
Stetson Bennett has grown by leaps and bounds and, no longer walks around in his underwear at night before games. With Stafford, the thing is he'll be out there come hook or crook.
Yeah.
But we've seen bad shoulder Stafford, and that's not Stafford. And it's like almost stubbornness Stafford, where it's like at some point, gosh, maybe Garoppolo, because he can push the ball downfield a little better than you when you're out there being stubborn.
Right. And I'm going to continue to look for the wording on this because I could have sworn the word was.
I mean, that sounds wrong.
Maybe it was wrong, but I cannot seem to find this anywhere. And it's really bothering me because I remember like doing like a quick news write up on it. And it just seems to be escaping right now. But regardless, yes, the back is a concern for me. It wasn't before, but now with everything, or it's like, okay, he's 37. And Sean McVay was talking about like, hey, what's the status of it? And he's like, well, he's walking. I was like, oh, great. Yeah, it sounds like you're really confident, Sean. Jesus Christ.
Like, thank you. Yeah, his heart beating,
Yeah, like so that does give me pause for concern. 2 weeks ago, I would have predicted that they win the division. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore simply because I just don't know if Stafford's going to be 100%. And even if he is, like, what's that look like at this stage? And how many games is he going to miss if he misses? Like, too much of a wild card for me to completely buy in right now. So I would pay a little bit more attention to potentially some unders with the Rams. So if you think that Stafford could miss some time, which costs them some wins, under 7.5 is plus 300.
Under 7.5. You know what? I mean, this is an off the board game.
I'm not touching them.
Right. Don't touch them. If you're sitting there saying, well, maybe we're going to have a broken back or a backup quarterback or things like that. I don't know, 7.5, you do reach the point where it's like Garoppolo can lead that team to 7.
Yeah, like we can joke about Jimmy a lot, but right. Jimmy Garoppolo with Sean McVay can be fine.
He goes out there with very, very, very good teams and manufactures wins by letting the defense get 6 million sacks and Puka breaks 30 tackles. so I wouldn't go too far on the under, but otherwise, around the numbers, I say 8.5, 9.5.
Yep. Yeah, I think that this is a no play for me. I would pay attention to the 49ers a little bit, but I don't like that they paid Brock Purdy all that money. I don't think it was worth it. And we saw what that team looked like last year without Christian McCaffrey. We'll see if he's completely healthy, but they had so many injuries and Purdy didn't play well. And then they paid him a bunch of money. So it just felt very weird. That said, they have a very easy schedule. And defensively, as long as Warner and Bosa are there, the defense is going to be good. Robert Saleh, I think, will raise that floor naturally. So over 9.5 is still only minus 180. Vegas really loves the 49ers. You have to go to 11.5 before you get plus money.
No, 10. I'm seeing 10.5. Hold on. 10.5 is plus 110 on mine.
Okay, over 10.5 is minus 110 at FanDuel. So DraftKings might be the better one.
DraftKings like that. I mean, I don't hate over 11.5 at plus 180 to get a little bit of juice. Although at that point, I might go over to the division. And of course, I've got to click.
Yes, that was going to be my next point in terms of the 49ers, what their division odds are. I wonder if they're the odds on favorites to win it.
Plus 150, I would jump.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I would jump on that. See, with Purdy, it's like he didn't play super phenomenally well without the injuries. I think, like we talked about Bryce Young, I don't think he played all that well. I don't think Purdy played all that bad by the standards of a quarterback who has lost his number one running back, tight ends in and out of the game. Ayuk was injured in the second half of the season. His number one pick was shot, and comes back later. My worry now is because we're talking about these receivers. Ayuk is still messed up. Jennings is messed up.
And Jennings wants more money too. So there's a weird situation there. They're going to be really relying on Ricky Pearsall to be awesome. And that's just not a bet I'm willing to make.
And that's the thing. It's like, well, Kittle and McCaffrey could elevate those things. They're a little older. And they're talking up Russell Gage right now.
Oh, good Lord.
And I heard that the Russell Gage, like Matt Ryan's third favorite target, Russell Gage. That's who we're talking about.
That's funny.
I would still take them to the division. I feel like Ayuk seems like a big question mark. They're going to get Jennings solved. And then they have all these youngsters on defense who look like they're pretty good.
Yeah, Ayuk tore his ACL, week 7 or week 8 last year? It's right in the middle of the year. So don't know when he's going to be completely available. And like I said, they're going to be relying on a lot of unknowns at receiver. And I think it's going to be, if Christian McCaffrey's healthy and they can just make it the Christian McCaffrey show, then sure. Let me actually pull up their schedule so we can maybe map this out a little bit. I think
map it out a little bit. By the way, Ayuk was the A through ZCL. I mean, it was a triad injury.
Yeah,
and that's why it's taking so darn long. And they say he's ahead of schedule, but it's in all these vague,
Right. All right. So let's look at it. Week 1 at Seattle. I think they win that game.
They should be able to win that. Yes.
Week 2 at New Orleans. I think they should win that game.
Right.
Week 3, Arizona. They usually handle Arizona. I think Arizona's one of the weirdest teams. We'll get into them in a minute. Yeah. And then week 4, Jacksonville. I like Jacksonville, but the game is at home for them, so they're not traveling across the country. Yep. And then
I can see a 3-1. They trip over one of those, and you're on your way.
Week 5 at Rams. Depends on what Stafford looks like. Oh, we could get a Jimmy Garoppolo revenge game.
Oh God. Just what the world does not need.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see 49ers Twitter for that. Week 6 at Tampa. That won't be an easy game, especially on the road.
This is not an easy schedule. This is not an easy schedule by any stretch of the imagination. Does it get? I feel like there's a soft spot in the middle of it.
I would think so. Let's look for that soft spot, shall we? I'm not finding it yet. Oh, well, did I? Okay, I found it. It's near the end. It's Panthers, Browns, bye week, Titans.
And Colts, who knows?
And then okay, that should be a 4-win stretch there.
Right, and then the Bears, that could be like a 5-win. So it's going to be survival mode early.
Yeah, but if they could just hover around 500 and then just go bam, 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 and lock up a 9-5 record, then I think that's certainly doable. So maybe the over 9.5 would be a good play. Division win, certainly in the books. I don't think it's going to take more than 11 wins to win this division.
Could be this thing where they're at 4-3 or something like that, and the odds are amazing. But Ayuk's coming back, and then you pop the over. Then whatever.
That's a mid-season bet.
Right, in the midseason bet, and it's like, haha, here comes the sicko move.
All right. The Cardinals are plus 370 to win the division. That's something that
it's not stupid.
It's not stupid. They won 8 games last year. Defensively, they got a couple really good players in the draft. I could see it. Jonathan Gannon, like, to his credit, we all clown the hire. He's done a really good job with that defense and has gotten them more wins than they've had any business getting. So I tip my cap to Jonathan Gannon. Drew Petzing's a good offensive coordinator. My question is, all right, how many games is Kyler going to play well, and how many games is he just going to piss down his leg?
And how many of them is it going to be? Well, it's the important, critical game where he pisses down his leg.
Right.
Whereas you've gone out there in some rando game and like, oh, I smoked whatever bad team is on the schedule right now. My faith in this team is in the pits. And it goes back to 8-5 or whatever they were at one point last year. I was like, you know what? Gannon really has.
And then they just lose out.
And they lose out, and they look like scrubs losing out. And every time there's a high leverage situation, Murray's like, woo, there's the ball. And they didn't make enough changes. I mean, yeah, you can add Josh Sweat. You can add some of these guys. Nolan's hurt already. Will Johnson will probably get hurt if you say his name 3 times. So this is a team where it's like, you have to show me before I buy it. And a lot of people are high. You're high on it. I know JP's high on it and all.
I don't want to say high on it because, like, I'm not going to bet that they'll win the division, but do I think they can get to 9 wins? One more win than last year. Yeah, I would like to think so. Let me see what FanDuel has them at for that right now. If you go over 8.5 for the Cardinals, it's only minus 125. So, like, FanDuel thinks that they'll be around a 9-10 win team.
Right. And then you start doing things like, if you're really skeptical about the Seahawks, I kind of am.
I'm very skeptical about the Seahawks.
Yeah. If you're worried about Stafford, suddenly you can build the argument in terms of, the Cardinals could go 4-2 in the division. And that can be part of their launch point. Again, it's also the Cardinals, and who gives a flying fucking world about them? So it's like you're sitting there, and it's like you're fascinated by the 49ers. I want to do this. I'm fascinated by JJ McCarthy because of Michigan and because of the Vikings. Who in the world gives a crap about this team?
They're beat writers, I guess. Outside of that, I don't know. Kurt Warner sometimes.
Kurt Summers, and Kurt Warner probably still has a soft spot in his heart for him. But it's like, and that's why it's like, I think they're going to be good because this and this. It's like, you're really studying this film and I know guys who really are, but like, you sicko. Like, what are you doing? Like, go outside. Don't watch Cardinals film from December and come away with it like, hey, you know what? They almost beat the Seahawks that time, and that really.
Let's look at the Seahawks real quick because they're a team that I'm pretty low on. Defensively, they should be pretty good. Mike Macdonald's done a good job of that defense. Offensively, dude, I don't care. They trade away DK and Geno, and it's like, okay, you're gonna start a quasi rebuild. Great, that's a good idea. But then they signed Sam Darnold for a bunch of money, and then they signed Cooper Kupp, who's a slot receiver, when they have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's a slot receiver. Yeah, I just don't get what their plan is. I don't think they're getting to 7 wins. So if you go under 7.5, that's plus 110, plus money there. I just don't believe in the Seahawks.
I could see Darnold turning into a pumpkin again very
absolutely
quickly, which he was doing in December because he doesn't have Justin Jefferson to be throw it deep.
Yeah, just like to throw the fuck it balls.
Throw the fuck it balls. Instead, you've got 2 guys running crossing patterns, or one of whom is on the rise and one of whom's on decline, and then Valdez-Scantling, who will break your ever-loving heart if you're expecting anything of them. I know they threw a lot of energy at the offensive line. They've got Gray. Is it Zabel? Is that the young man's
Gray
name?
Zabel.
They brought in some other guys from around the league. That offensive line could also crumble very quickly. And if the offensive line crumbles in front of Darnold, that's the end.
Absolutely. So who's their OC now? It's not Grubb anymore. He left.
Oh, it's Clint Kubiak.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, you know what? Clint Kubiak did for 2 weeks last year was the hottest name in football.
Right. I was so excited about it. I'm like, wow, I'm surprised that halfway through the season they lose like 1 or 2 guys. It's like it is.
I was going to say that explains why Valdez-Scantling's there now. He's just going to be like, remember what we did against Dallas and who the hell was it? The Titans?
Was it Dallas, Washington? It was somebody who had no corners.
Yeah, week 2 was Dallas. Who the hell was week 1? I want to say it might have been Tennessee.
But Valdez-Scantling's different because it was the Panthers and the Cowboys.
That's those Carolina, yes.
Right, but I don't think Valdez-Scantling was involved in that. Was Shaheed?
You're right, yeah, because he came on later and for some reason put up just stupid numbers.
He had this amazing game. I'm going to pull up right now. big win. It was a huge games against the Falcons and the Browns. And the Browns, of course, had surrendered, and the Falcons were falconing. And it's just like, well, he ran really fast in a straight line, and I guess Spencer Rattler was at his Wheaties that morning. And forced it downfield for him. And then everyone in the league said, oh, crap, Valdez-Scantling is still fast. We still have to actually cover him. And then that was the end of it.
That's so funny. So it'll be like week 3, and Sam will hit Valdez-Scantling for like a 60-yard bomb, and everybody be like, "There's Sam Darnold, he's back." And it's like, all right, dude, he doesn't have. And look, I like Clint Kubiak, but he's not Kevin O'Connell. He doesn't have Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison or Aaron Jones in a really good backfield with him. So I do think that the Seahawks ceiling for me is about 7 wins.
The amount of Darnold great plays last year were those fucking heave-ho balls.
Yeah, especially against like San Francisco where they were backed up on their own 2, and he just fuck it. We'll see what happens.
Right. And defenders are like tripping and falling over each other, just dancing through them and grabbing it with
it looked like there was a sniper at the Vikings stadium just like taking out Diamador Lenore, whoever the hell was covering Justin Jefferson that day.
Right. And all these ridiculous games too, where like the Vikings opponent committed like 83 penalties. So like Darnold's playing comfortably with a lead late in the game, and like hand off to Aaron Jones, play fake, toss it in the flat and all. If you don't have that, I don't know what you have in Darnold. And again, it's year 7 of Darnold or 8.
Yeah, we're still doing this thing. We're like, I wonder what Sam Darnold is. Hey, he was a guy who had a nice year last year, and good for him. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
We saw the ceiling.
Yes, we sure did, and I'm glad he reached it and proved to himself that, hey, if I have everything in place for me, I can do pretty well. But right now, unfortunately, he doesn't have everything in place for him in Seattle. I think is going to be pretty bad. So that is the NFC all done. I think that when it comes to division winners, the one that I'm most confident in, or at least the most fun play for the NFC, I think. What's that?
The most fun play is probably Commanders, no?
Commanders would be pretty good, but 49ers as well. I mean, plus, when you said 150, like that's pretty good. So, but no, Commanders at plus 220. Yeah, that's probably the most juice one.
Yeah, that's juicy. And you have a darkness in your heart against the Eagles, so that would probably...
I wouldn't say I have a darkness in my heart against Philly.
You said something about you wanting to fucking kill the fans or something.
None of the Eagles fans, because I wrote for a month they've had these Jalen Hurts, Cam Newton debates, and it's like, who gives a shit?
Well, it starts with everybody does their top 5 quarterbacks,
of course,
and all the film snobs have to be like, Jalen Hurts, go fuck yourself. This is like Keystone Light beer or whatever. And what do you think that the fan base of the guy who just led their team to a Super Bowl victory, how do you think they're going to react?
And I defended Jalen Hurts. I said that you have a real argument to say that he's better than Cam Newton because he's won big games and he's consistently won. Cam Newton didn't consistently win throughout his career.
He's better than Cam Newton because he's done the things that Cam Newton was not capable of doing.
And I was completely on board with that and completely agree. For 2 days of debate, sure. For a month and a half, all right, enough. Games are being played now. Training camps are open. There's better things to talk about. Shut the fuck up, everybody. It's so annoying.
The moral of the story is, again, we're locked into this and talking about what flavor of salad dressing the quarterback is.
Right.
The only people who are out there in June and July, again, now some of us are long-term readers, viewers, and we thank you for that. Most of the rest of them are just the freaks.
Yeah.
They're just like, whoa, and like they're it's June 25th, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta have an argument about it. And again, I get it. You feed us a little bit. I count on you. Thank you for subscribing if you're like that. It's not the typical fan who's out here like they're watching their baseball, they're going to the beach, they're doing their thing. And then those individuals come back in August and like, okay, let's talk for real about like non-tier lists.
Yeah, I was gonna. I mean, at that point when that argument was taking place, I mean, it's like Bart Scott and whoever having this debate on Get Up, which fuels everything. And mid-June when nothing's happening, it's like, oh my Lord, do we have nothing else to talk about other than this for a week and a half?
Yeah, we got some old jocks who have the biggest axes in the world to grind to come up and say some things. And then, somebody's watching Get Up or listening to it at whatever time in the morning on June. It's like, again, God bless you, but like, you might not represent the center of the football fan base.
Right. And all right, speaking of the our fan bases, what's going on for you at 2 Deep Zone?
Well, I just wrote a big thing excoriating the Dolphins. And then and I'm also going to on why your team sucks for the
Yes.
I did the Bears. Dolphins are coming up next week. The Dolphins have so much wrong with them right now that it takes like 2 articles to cover it. Let's put it that way.
They do. Every time one of them takes the stand, I am very locked in because I'm like, all right, what are they going to say? This is going to be great.
Right. No, yeah, you have Mike McDaniel going up there and say, "Oh, one day closer to the
I can't wait to die. I hate it here. Kyle Shanahan, put me back in the Bay Area. Fuck me. This sucks."
Then Tyree comes and like, "I'm a team player. I'm all for it. I'm going to be late tomorrow, and then when I show up, I'm going to talk about Achan and how he shouldn't be a goal line." Like, oh, this is unreal. So I'm doing that. Come Monday, I'm going to be talking about the preseason games. I'm sure both of us are going to be watching.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you got coming up?
Yeah, if anybody hasn't checked out the first piece on my Substack, the Snap, it's superlatives for all 32 starting NFL quarterbacks. So go and check that out, jbailey.nfl.substack.com, and subscribe to the Snap. You can subscribe for free, or if you really like me, you can pay. It's $5 a month or $45 for the whole year. Yeah. And then I'll have an interview coming out on the Snap with Giants wide receiver Jaylen Hyatt. So we talked a little bit about Russ, talked a little bit about the connection that they have already so far. Going to be a fun one that will drop later on the site. What else do I have coming out? Yeah, just follow along on Twitter. JBaileyNFL, Blue Sky. I'm over there a little bit more now. JBaileyNFL there as well. Yeah, watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're listening as a podcast, leave a comment, review. Yeah, preseason games tonight. Let's fucking go. Anthony Richardson, show me something.
Show me anything.
Show me anything, for the love of God. So that's what we'll be watching tonight. Colts, Raiders. You got it. The Eagles play tonight, right?
Eagles play the Bengals tonight. I'm going to be watching with one eye, but I'm going to be watching other games more because there's real quarterback controversy.
I assume none of the Eagles starters are playing.
None of the Eagles starters will be playing, and there's like position battles at like guard and like backup linebacker and backup running back, where the young man from the Packers is already like injured.
AJ Dillon.
Yeah, AJ Dillon found an injury. He found he stepped in whatever hole he steps in every year. So it's going to be Shipley. I think is going to be the backup running back. We'll know more. We'll know more in about 7 hours.
Okay, good. I wonder if maybe Zeke ends up an Eagle, be the number 2. Well, how about that? Is he still a free agent?
Oh God, Zeke. I mean, I think he's still a free agent. I mean, who wants him at this point?
Maybe the Eagles. If this backup running back thing doesn't work out, that would be funny.
Somebody hang out behind Saquon and joke around with him, and then behind this offensive line, just running straight. Who knows?
I don't know if you saw this, but the Steelers signed Andrews Pete before we came on air. So he's there now.
He's still in the NFL.
He's still in the NFL. Yes, he was with the Raiders last year and played mostly like special teams, line and whatnot. Didn't really do.
He's like
he had a start.
He's a swing tackle.
Swing tackle at this point in his career, and he's like the break in case of emergency if Broderick Jones is just unplayable. I had to guess. Which is certainly a possibility.
And something to worry about if they're doing we better get the break on August 7th in case of emergency glass out now for the former top pick.
Well, they've got a couple veterans there because they already had Calvin Anderson, who had played in Denver before he came to Pittsburgh. So like they had a couple swing tackles already. I wonder if I hadn't seen one that was dealing with an injury, but maybe there's bringing in more depth for, just to be extra careful.
Nothing to worry about. Your starting quarterback is so young and spry and has such a great attitude about it when things aren't necessarily optimized. It's going to be great.
I hope to God the Steelers start like 6-2, and I can have you on like week 9, and we can just.
Hope is a wish. A wish without a plan is a hope.
I love it. All right, Mike. I love you to death. Can't wait to do it again with you soon. All right.
Later.
Thanks, everybody. This is the Pump Fake.